President.
Leader of the Opposition.
Mr President, I rise tonight to make a contribution on the subject of renewable energy and some of the ill-informed comments that have been occurring in the wake of the blackout in South Australia recently. In the wake of those terrible events caused by extreme weather in South Australia, there's been a lot of attempts to link what occurred to the state's significant use of renewable energy. However, the Australian Energy Market Operator's preliminary report has found that extreme weather was the primary cause of multiple transmission system faults, but the lack of an interconnector was not caused by the use of renewable energy. The fact is that there has been some criticism of the facts that renewable energy was used to a significant degree. Journalist Chris Uhlmann has also pointed to some technical issues created by the intermittent nature of wind energy in particular, which comprises some 40% of the energy mix in South Australia as a possible contributor, and has been heavily criticised for doing so. It must be recognised that for renewable energy there are issues to do with storage. We do not yet have widely available battery storage for households and businesses readily available in the same way as it is for traditional fossil fuel electricity. However, battery technology is on the way, and the energy ministers of this country would serve the public interest more if they made the development and adoption of battery technology for renewables a prime concern, if they're concerned for the security and stability of supply in the national electricity market. The fact is that coal-fired power stations, which provide something like 79% of the electricity for New South Wales, will finish their lifespan by 2035, and no one that I have heard is suggesting that new coal-fired power stations will be built. Renewable energy, increasing the supply of renewable energy, is the only real and viable source of more energy in the wake of the closure of those power stations. There has also been informed calls for a common national renewable energy target set at the Commonwealth level, and for the different states and jurisdictions to abandon their own individual targets. The federal target set for 2020 is around 23.5%. Victoria has a 45% renewable energy target by 2025. Queensland has a 50% target by 2030. The ACT has a 100% target. But in fact, these different jurisdictions were indeed encouraged to develop their own targets by the former Federal Environment Minister Greg Hunt in the wake of the Paris climate talks last year, because that former Environment Minister understood that Australia had no chance of meeting the targets it has agreed to in Paris if the different states did not put their shoulders to the wheel and set their own individual targets. And of course, this idea that the state targets are somehow in conflict with the Commonwealth is a complete falsehood, because the Commonwealth target is set for 2020, and the Commonwealth has not yet said what they think should be the target post-2020. The different jurisdictions which have their own targets are set for 2025 and for 2030. If the Commonwealth wants state or different jurisdictional targets to be subsumed into an overall national target, the Turnbull government needs to stop its indifference and properly engage with a national dialogue about what should be the appropriate national target. If we look at Canada, a country with many parallels for Australia, the action on climate change was driven by the different provinces because the Harper Conservative government did not believe in climate change and refused to act on it. The new Liberal government in Canada, led by Justin Trudeau, has taken a different approach. It doesn't propose itself taking national action, but instead has set targets that the different provinces must achieve. The provinces will have the freedom to decide whether to do that through emissions trading schemes or through carbon taxes, but they are being required by the national government to put their shoulders to the wheel and develop a price on carbon and to drive policy on climate change. If the Commonwealth government in this country wants to lead the way on climate change, it should do so, but it can't simply say that it's not going to take any action post-2020 and expect the other states and jurisdictions to sit on their hands. The need for energy security post the life of coal-fired power stations, both in New South Wales and across Australia, simply means that renewable energy has to be ramped up and fast.